Hello, and welcome to the Academy of Comic Nerds. Let's talk about Blonde. Blonde is a new Netflix biographical film about the most popular actress of all time, Marilyn Monroe, starring Ana de Armas in the lead role and directed by Andrew Dominik. Even though the movie is about a real person, the story is fictional and based on a novel with same name by the author Joyce Carol Oates. Ana de Armas was casted in this movie back in 2010 when she wasn't a famous actress. The actress aspired that playing Marilyn Monroe was her deal role. She always wanted to play this role. This movie is produced by Brad Pitt, Dede Gardner, and Jeremy Cleaner. As a young girl, Norma Jean Mortensen grows up raised by her mentally unstable mother, Gladys. On her 7th birthday in 1933, she is given a framed picture of a man Gladys claims is her father. Later that night, a fire breaks out in the Hollywood Hills and Gladys drives Norma Jean up there, claiming that her father lives there but is forced to go back home at the order of the police. An enraged Gladys tries to drown Norma Jean in the bathtub when she asks about her father but let her go. Norma Jean escapes to the house of her neighbor, Miss Flynn, who promises she will be fine. A few days later, Norma Jean is sent to an orphanage while Gladys is admitted to a mental hospital, having declared unfit to raise a child. In the 1940s, Norma Jean becomes a pin-up girl under the stage name of Marilyn Monroe, appearing on magazine covers and calendars. While trying to break into the acting industry, she is raped by film studio president Mr. J. In 1950, she auditions for the role of Nell in Don't Bother to Knock. The audition goes poorly after she breaks down and leaves in tears, but she impresses the casting director enough to give her the part. As her acting career steadily rises, she meets Charles Cass Chaplin Jr. and Edward G. Eddie Robinson Jr., with whom she begins a polyamorous relationship. Norma Jean lands her breakout role in 1953 with Niagara, but after she is spotted in public with Cass and Eddie, she is told by her agent to limit her appearances with them in public, which upsets her because she feels that her persona of Marilyn is just a role and not her true self. Norma Jean becomes pregnant with Cass's child, much to her delight, but eventually decides to have an abortion out of fear that the child might inherit Gladys' mental issues. Cass supports her decision. On the day of the appointment, she changes her mind, but it is too late. Following the abortion, she breaks things off with Cass and Eddie. She later meets Joe DiMaggio, a retired athlete who sympathizes with her when she expresses her desire to leave Hollywood and become a more serious actress in New York City. As she films Gentlemen Prefer Blondes, she receives a letter from a man claiming to be her father. Norma Jean feels disconnected from her on-screen performance at the film's premiere, saying it is not her. She returns to her hotel room, having been told that someone is waiting for her. Expecting it to be her father, she instead finds Joe, who asks her to marry, which she accepts reluctantly. Norma Jean and Joe's marriage sours when Cass and Eddie give Joe some nude publicity pictures of her, which enrages Joe so much that he hits her and demands that she refuse to do the 7-year itch out of the principal. However, she still goes through with filming, doing the famous publicity stunt with the white dress. When she gets home, a drunken Joe screams and gets physically violent with her. She divorces him shortly after. In 1955, Norma Jean auditions for the Broadway play Magda, written by renowned playwright Arthur Miller. During a read-through, her performance impresses everyone but Arthur. He eventually warms up to her when she gives him some insightful character analysis. Norma Jean and Arthur marry and move to Maine, where she lives a happy life with him and becomes pregnant. However, when walking on the beach one day with a platter of food, she trips and miscarries. Distraught, she returns to acting soon after. While filming Some Like It Hot, Norma Jean becomes more uncontrollable and mentally disturbed. She is overwhelmed by the constant press attention, feels that she is becoming a joke, has frequent outbursts on set, especially towards director Billy Wilder, and grows increasingly distant from Arthur. To cope with her stress, she begins taking pills. By 1962, she has become dependent on drugs and alcohol. Secret Service agent pick up an intoxicated Norma Jean and take her to a hotel to meet the president, who forces her to fellate him before raping her and then has her taken away after she vomits in his bed. Already dazed and drugged on pills, Shiv begins to wonder if this is what being Marilyn Monroe has led to. And she also hallucinates having another abortion before being sent back to home in Los Angeles. She learns from Eddie on the phone that Cass has died and has left something to her, which she refuses to see at the first but is convinced by Eddie, who sends it in a package in the mail. Cass's memento turns out to be the stuffed tiger plush that she found when the three of them were together. And the package also contains a letter where he confesses that the letter that Norma Jean has been receiving, supposedly from her father, were actually written by him. Shattered by the revelation, Norma Jean overdoses on barbiturates. As she dies on her bed, she has a vision of her father welcoming her to the afterlife. Let's look at some critics and backlash on the film. Blonde is rated NC-17 for its graphic sexual content. Movie received a mixed response from both audience and critics, but all praises Ana de Armas' performance. She received a 14-minute standing ovation at 79th Venice International Film Festival on September 8, 2022. After its release on Netflix on 28 September, some complained about Ana de Armas for maintaining her native Cuban accent, which doesn't matches with Monroe. Movie also features some backlash for features graphic scenes of sexual abuse, including a brutal rape scene as well as Monroe having an abortion from her vagina's point of view. Critics are calling Blonde violent fantasy. Some critics even refused to give a review due to its cruel portrayal, which is very funny as this movie shows nothing harsh compared to HBO show Euphoria, and Euphoria is highly rated and beloved by fans. Ana de Armas echoed the sentiment, saying, "I don't understand why it happened. I can cite a number of programs or movies that are much more explicit and with a lot more sexual content than Blonde. But to tell this story, it's important to show all those moments in Marilyn's life that brought her to the end she did. It needs to be explained. In the cast, everyone knew we should delve into unpleasant territory. It wasn't just up to me." So that is all for the video, guys. Please tell us how you like the movie. Do like the video and subscribe to the channel if you want more such videos in future. That's all for now. Thank you and goodbye.